What is up guys, Newlimits here, and today I will be bringing you all the leveling builds you will need for the wizard when you are leveling 1 to 70 in a new season. As you know, we can start off a new season using the challenge reel bag. This will give us a lot of materials. These materials can be used to upgrade one rare item in the cube. For the wizard, we will upgrade a level 70 wand. The wizard is surprisingly strong during the leveling process, being able to farm Torment 3 even without any multipliers due to the high damage on Disintegrate and a lot of active buffs to gain more damage and toughness. When upgrading the wand, you have 10 legendaries in the loot pool and 3 of them are really good. These are the Wand of Woh, the Unstable Scepter and Serpent's Sparker. You might think Starfire and Fragment of Destiny are good because they have multipliers, but they are not, and I honestly don't think you should even cube them if you get them. You will also get 475 blood shards that you can spend at Kadala. You will spend these on bracers, giving you Ashnagar's bracers. These are useless until you get the passive Galvanizing Ward at level 40, but once you have this passive, these bracers are incredibly good and I think definitely worth it. If you have blood shards left, I would wait to spend your blood shards until you are level 33 to try and get the Etched Sigil. This is a really nice extra multiplier. The good thing is there will only be 2 sources in the loot pool, so you have a very high chance on getting it. The other one is Winter Flurry. This source should only be used when you get the Serpent Sparker, otherwise do not fall into the trap of using this, it is not worth it. I tested this and it's really weird to try and fit this into any other build. Don't forget to cube the Etched Sigil if you didn't get a good wand. You don't really want to have a source on your character because you won't be able to use a two-handed axe, and this will lower your damage significantly. You can find all the links in the description for each leveling build that I will talk about, so you can use them while leveling. Please hit that like button as these videos take quite a long time to make, and consider subscribing for more leveling builds and guides in the future. Without further ado, I will start off with the first leveling build using the Wand of Woh. The damage of Explosive Blast is increased by 400% and 3 additional blasts are triggered after casting Explosive Blast. We're gonna be using Unleashed, increase the damage of Explosive Blast to 1485%. What you could also do is go for Chain Reaction at level 56. It's gonna create a lot more Explosive Blasts, but it's gonna deal significantly less damage. So I prefer to go with the Unleash rune just for the nuke ability. We are going to be using Teleport Safe Passage. For 5 seconds after your teleport, you will take 25% less damage. We are using the Illusionist passive. When you take more than 15% of your maximum life in damage, within 1 second, the cooldown on Mirror Image, Slow Time, and Teleport are reset. When you use Mirror Image, Slow Time, or Teleport, your movement speed is increased by 30% for 3 seconds. We're using here Exhaustion. Enemies caught by Slow Time deal 25% less damage, so again, more damage mitigation. What you could also do if you feel like you have enough damage mitigation, you could go for Time Warp. Enemies caught in the bubble of Warp Time take 15% more damage. So it depends on what you would like, more damage or more toughness. We are going to be using Ice Armor. Ice Reflect melee attacks have a 40% chance to create a Frost Nova centered on the attacker. This is just really nice. With your Explosive Blast, you're gonna be really close to the enemies, and if they hit you and a Frost Nova is gonna stun everything around you, it's gonna help you get your Explosive Blast off, which is gonna nuke them down, which is gonna kill almost everybody, and you're gonna be really safe. What you could also do is go for Crystallize. When you are struck by a melee attack, your armor is increased by 20% for 30 seconds, stacking up 3 times. So 60% armor is also a really nice bonus. But for this build, I think Ice Reflect is a little bit nicer. We are using Magic Weapon Force Weapon. Increase the damage bonus of Magic Weapon to 20%, so it's just straight up a damage increase. So we're using Arcane Torrent Flame Ward. You take 15% less damage from attacks while channeling. Every second you channel, increase this amount by 5% up to a maximum total of 25% damage reduction. So again, just a really nice damage mitigator. We are using Blur, decrease damage taken by 17%. We are using Galvanizing Ward. As long as you have not taken damage in the last 5 seconds, you gain a protective shield that absorbs the next 60% of your life. If you have the Ashnagar's bracers, this passive becomes absolutely crazy, definitely for this build because it's very melee oriented. But even if you don't get the Ashnagar's bracers, Galvanizing Ward is just an amazing passive to have, and I think you should definitely be using this. So how you want to play this is you want to spawn as much enemies as possible in the Temple of the Firstborn. You're going to teleport around to make sure that you have your safe passage rune activated for the 5 seconds, 25% less damage. What you want to do is create a lot of density. You are going to use your slow time. You're gonna make sure that you are in the slow time to get your damage mitigation. You're going to start off your arcane torrent, so you will also have less damage taken. And then you're going to just nuke them down with your explosive blast. So that is basically the playstyle, how you want to go with the Wand of Woh. If you don't get the Ashnagars, I would go Torment 4 or Torment 5. If you do get the Ashnagars with the Wand of Woh, you can definitely do Torment 6. This is a really strong build. Moving on to the Unstable Scepter, the damage of Arcane Orb is increased by 450% and its explosion triggers an additional time. I think this was one of the most fun leveling builds to play with. So we're gonna be using Spark, lob an electrified orb over an enemy that zaps them for 349% weapon damage as lightning, and increase the damage of the next lightning spell you cast by 2% for every enemy hit up to a maximum of 15. So this is just really nice. It is gonna be a very arcane heavy build, so it's very resource heavy. So we are going to be using a lot of ways to gain back arcane power so we can keep on spamming the Spark. We're going to be using teleport safe passage again for 5 seconds. After you teleport, you'll take 25% less damage, so there's damage mitigation and a way to move around faster. You could also go for wormhole. After casting teleport, you have 3 seconds to teleport one additional time. So this is more movement speed. Of course, if you are using the Ashnagars, you are going to be using Galvanizing Ward. If you don't have the Ashnagars, you're going to be using Illusionist. If you have Illusionist, you can go with safe passage because your teleport is going to refresh automatically if you get hit. If you are using Ashnagars, you are going to be using Galvanizing Ward because you will need Astral Presence. Increase your maximum arcane power by 20 and arcane power regeneration by 2.5 per second. So this is very important to be able to cast as many arcane orbs out as you possibly can. And we're going to be using Power Hungry to deal 30% additional damage to enemies further than 30 yards. And you're going to be throwing them very far away, so this is just a really nice extra damage multiplier. You could also change Power Hungry to Illusionist, this is up to you, but the 30% additional damage is actually really nice. You are going to be using Spark Flint, summon a familiar that grants you 10% increased damage. Once you get Arcanaut, it's unlocked at level 50, you will use that one. While the familiar is active, you regenerate 4.5 arcane power, so this is just really nice. We're gonna be using Magic Weapon Conduit. Enemies hit by your attacks restore up to 3 arcane power, and this is one of the most important skills for this entire build. Your Spark is going to hit a lot of enemies. I mean like a lot. And every enemy that gets hit is going to restore you arcane power. So Conduit is by far one of the most important skills in the entire setup here. If you don't have Conduit, you will most likely not be able to keep your arcane power up all the time. So you will have to use something like Electrocute, for example, just to make up for the time that you don't have arcane power. But once you get Conduit, your arcane power is going to be full pretty much all the time. We are using Slow Time, Time Warp. Enemies caught in the bubble of warp time take 15% more damage, so just an extra damage increase, that's really nice. And we are using Storm Armor, Power of the Storm. Reduce the arcane power cost of all skills by 3 while Storm Armor is active. So this is also going to be a huge way to keep our resources as high as we can. I think with this build you really shouldn't go too high. You can do Torment 6 with the Unstable Scepter, but you have to make sure that you are able to keep your arcane power up because you have to throw out a lot of resources. So I think it is better to go to Torment 4 or to Torment 5 to be able to keep your arcane up and just destroy absolutely everything. You're gonna search for really big packs of enemies, so you can throw out your arcane orb. Your Conduit is gonna restore all of your arcane back, and you can just keep on spamming it. If you are going to throw your arcane orbs to 2 little enemies, just a few enemies like 4 or 5, your arcane is not going to replenish fast enough and you will run out of arcane power. So this is something to keep in mind. But the insects are actually perfect for this. They're going to drop from the ceiling, they're with a lot of enemies, and that's basically actually what you are searching for. I really hope you will get this one because it's actually a lot of fun. So the next build that I'm going to be talking about is going to be a build that you are going to use when you get no multipliers whatsoever. So you get no multipliers with your rare upgrade, you did not get the Etched Sigil, and you just have no multipliers at all. So what we're gonna do is we're still gonna be using Teleport Safe Passage. We're gonna combine that with the Illusionist passive because it's just a really nice interaction between the two. We're gonna be using Slow Time, Enemies caught in the bubble of warp time take 15% more damage. Again, with Illusionist, this is also really nice because the cooldown is gonna reset every time you get hit. So sometimes it's actually better to get hit on purpose, so you lose a little bit of life and you get your cooldowns back. We're gonna use Ice Armor Crystallize. 60% armor is really good. We're gonna use Magic Weapon Force Weapon for 20% increase of damage. We're gonna be using Familiar Spark Flint also for more damage. I'm gonna gain another 10%. And our main damage source and what you're gonna be using pretty much all the time is Disintegrate. So don't forget that Disintegrate's damage is increased by 250% weapon damage every single second, up to a maximum load of 890% weapon damage as Arcane, or in our case Fire because we are using Convergence. Increase the width of the beam, allowing it to hit more enemies. So what you want to do is make sure to just stand still and cast this for as long as you can because your damage is going to increase over time. This is why you want to make sure that you have enough Arcane power to use it. Now luckily for us, this is actually not a resource heavy skill at all. It only costs 18 Arcane power. We are going to be using Astral Presence, increase your maximum Arcane power by 20 and Arcane power regeneration by 2.5 per second. You're not really going to need a lot more resource generation. This is really nice. It's allowing us to use Power Hungry. You deal 30% additional damage to enemies farther than 30 yards. And Power Hungry has a really nice interaction with Disintegrate, so those work really well together. What you could also do is change Power Hungry for Galvanizing Ward if you want that for more survivability. So you really do have some options here, but I think this is the best build by far. You can probably do about Torment 2 to Torment 3. This is actually a pretty strong build. And if you get the Ashnagard's Bracers, that is also a really nice one, and you can just go one Torment higher, probably about Torment 4, because your survivability is gonna be better. So if you decide to not go for the Ashnagars, if you don't get any multiplier and you're going for the Etched Sigil at level 33, so definitely make sure you are level 33, not 34, because there are a lot more sources in the pool and it's gonna be a lot harder to get it. So you need to be level 33. We're gonna go for Etched Sigil then. While channeling Arcane Torrent Disintegrate, and we are using Disintegrate, or Ray of Frost, the damage of your Energy Twister is increased by 250%, and you also cast Energy Twisters every second. So what you want to do if you didn't get a good multiplier, you want to cube this weapon so you can use a two-handed axe. This is really important, it's gonna increase your damage significantly. And we're gonna be using Energy Twister Raging Storm. When two Energy Twisters collide, they merge into a tornado with increased area of effect that causes 3200% weapon damage as Arcane over 6 seconds. This is the biggest damage you can get from Energy Twister. 3200% is actually very significant. The damage is going to be increased by 250%. So they actually do quite a lot of damage. You're using your Disintegrate anyway, so your playstyle stays exactly the same. The only difference is that you're going to be spawning Energy Twisters, and you can go a little bit higher. So you can go to Torment 3 to Torment 4, and if you get the Ashnagard's 2, if you do have some blood shards left, then you can go to Torment 5 probably. So this is actually pretty nice. So the last and final build that we will be talking about is going to be with the Serpent's Sparker. You may have one extra Hydra active at a time and they deal 300% increased damage. Now this sounds very significant, but it's really not. The damage is not that high. The only thing that you're going to be different in the build, with the no multiplier build, you're just going to change slow time to a Hydra. You would probably go with the Fire Hydra, it's going to be the strongest one, but their damage is really not that significant because it's very single target based. But what you can do if you go at level 1 with your blood charts for the Winter Flurry, enemies killed by cold damage have a 25% chance to release a Frost Nova. Your Hydra deals 150% increased damage to enemies in a blizzard. Now this is very strange and very weird to build this into a leveling build. It interacts really strangely, and the only way it can work is together with the Serpent Sparker. So in any other build, if you get the Winter Flurry, don't even bother by it because it's very difficult. You have to work in Hydras and the Blizzard, and it needs to be cold damage. It's really weird. But there's a really strong build if you get both of them. The only problem is it's only going to be good once you get to level 46, because then you will get Frost Hydra. Summon a Frost Hydra that breathes a short range cone of frost, causing 255% weapon damage as cold to all enemies in the cone. So before that, you just want to go with the previous build that I talked about. You're going to change a Hydra. It's going to deal a little bit more damage, but not crazy. But once you get Frost Hydra, you can go to Torment 6 very easily. It's incredibly powerful all of a sudden. You're going to be using Blizzard Snowbound. reduce the casting cost of Blizzard to 10 arcane powers. This basically means that you can just keep on spamming Blizzard like crazy, you're not gonna run out of arcane at all. And this build is really fun. It's just so annoying that you only get it at level 46, otherwise it would be absolutely amazing. So you're definitely gonna be doing Torment 6 with this build. It is really strong. Other than that, I really don't think I need to go over the skills again because you already know what it is. As I said before, you can go to the link in the description, you'll find all the builds there. But it is incredibly powerful and yeah, it's a lot of fun. So I want to thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more leveling builds and leveling guides in the future. And I will see you guys in the next one.